Hey, I'm SJ and this is the Menopause and Motherhood podcast. Hey friend, welcome to the 2025 season. I'm excited to be here. We have got lots of wonderful new episodes coming your way, some amazing guests, and a really exciting opportunity for us to connect and come together as a community of women and lift each other up and build some really amazing friendships through the power of this podcast. If you're new here, a massive hello and welcome. I'm SJ, I'm the host. And if you have been around a while, thank you so much for being such a loyal listener. As we are in a new season of 2025, I'm going to take a moment just to introduce myself to you. I'm SJ. I'm the host of the Menopause and Motherhood podcast. I am a mum. I live in the UK on a farm with my other half, Tim, and my daughter, who is 7 years old. Her name is Chloe. And we live with our two dogs, Sky and Rosie. My passion has always been around education. My background is teaching, and I stepped away from the classroom because I really wanted to become involved in health and fitness, sport, exercise. My fascination around food is something that I feel really, really strongly about, particularly being a farmer's wife. I know the importance of our food, where it comes from. And really what I want to do through this podcast is really think about us as women, to empower you as a woman, to help you to make healthier choices so that you can feel the best that you possibly can be. And we're going to be talking things related to hormones. We're going to be talking exercise. We're going to be talking nutrition. And I know a lot of you do come here for some weight loss and advice. And of course, that really is kind of key to some of the things that we talk about on this podcast. But what I want to do is build a community. Like women, it's so important for us to come together and support each other because we face some really unique challenges that men just really, really don't understand. So I'm going to encourage you to come over and join me. I have actually built over on Facebook a new community for you to jump in, come and say hi. I'm going to be popping in over there, but I want to keep it a nice, close community so that we can get to know each other and we can feel safe and secure in the things that we're sharing and the things that we are talking about that are specifically related to us as biological females and the challenges that we can face. Now, I will give you a heads up. Of course, I'm a Christian. God plays a really important part of my life and my family's life. So I will be talking about him, and he is part of this process. And I would love, if you are faith-based, I would love for you to share your faith as well. If you're not a Christian, that's okay. You are still welcome here. But please be aware that there are many women in this community who are Christians. So God is going to be very much at the forefront of the things that I am talking about. So all of that being said, let's dig in to some basics. We're going to be talking the basics of menopause today. What is it? What on earth is going on with our body at this really, really strange point in our lives? We're going to be talking about hormones, and I'm going to kind of introduce to you to some of the basics around hormones. And I would love for you to go away and maybe even share this episode with somebody who perhaps is struggling with their hormones. Maybe you have a friend, a family member who perhaps just really doesn't feel themselves at the moment. Maybe they're feeling down, maybe they're feeling a bit depressed, maybe they're just really struggling with their weight, for example. And I would love for you to share this episode with them, because I really think that there is so much that we as women, we just don't get told about our bodies, and we kind of feel embarrassed about talking about some of these challenges, and that does not happen here. I really want to be an open book. I want to talk about the challenges that I face in the hope that it helps you to think about the things that you need to do that perhaps are going to make you feel better, whether that is losing weight, whether it's feeling more energized, whether it's getting more mental clarity, whatever your goal is, whatever your aim is. I really hope that me sitting behind this microphone in my kitchen with my dogs sat on the sofa behind me, my massive container of water, because I'll tell you, doing a podcast really does make you feel dehydrated. I think it's the too much talking. My prayer really is that me being here, putting myself out into this crazy world of podcasting really does help you to grow, to learn something that is going to help you as you navigate this hormone journey of menopause, and also as we are facing the various different challenges that motherhood can also face. Okay, let's get started on the things that you need to know about menopause, because I'm sure, like me, you've heard this word around a lot. But menopause, first of all, it's important to note, this is a natural phase of life that every woman will experience as they age. So it's something that we cannot escape from, but it is still a topic, sadly, that really is surrounded by a lot of confusion and a lot of myths, or even a lot of secrecy and embarrassment. And we want to, in this community, take away that embarrassment. We want to be open, we want to be honest. So understanding the basics of menopause can empower you, can empower other women to navigate this transition and feel more confident, because when you know what's going on, you can understand it. And you're going to feel more confident, and you are going to feel more at ease. So we're going to talk about what is menopause. We're going to talk about the different stages of menopause as well, because there are different stages of menopause and you might be at a different stage from other people. We're going to be talking about some of the symptoms. We're going to be talking about hormones and the role that they play in your body. And then we're also going to talk about managing menopause. Now, so much of this podcast really is about digging into the things that we can do to help when it comes to relieving and easing the symptoms that we can have that our hormones give us. And this doesn't necessarily just have to be about menopause. It could be perhaps you have recently had a baby and your hormones are all over the place. Or maybe you're going through some form of stress and your hormones feel a bit all over the place and up and down. Like, it's really important to note that if you're listening to this, your hormones really do play an important part of your day-to-day life. And whether or not you are menopausal, some of these things and some of these things that we're going to be talking about are things that are, I'm sure, no doubt going to be able to help you as well. So today's episode really is like a basic scratching the surface, touching on some topics, and all of these things that we talk about are going to be spoken about in more depth as we go through this year, and we touch on a lot of these things in a lot more detail. And I'm going to bring you some experts, some people who can support you with various different aspects in more detail than I can. And as well as all of this, it is important to remember that you can work with me. We can walk through this process together hand in hand. And I'm going to put some links in the show notes for how you can work through coaching with me, and some of the courses that I also have that you might want to access as well. So look out for those in the show notes. Let's start by talking about what menopause actually is, because the technical term and the dictionary definition, if you were to look up the word menopause, it actually means the end of a woman's menstrual cycles. So it's officially, like, somebody will say that you are menopausal. What it actually means is that you have had 12 consecutive months without a period. And what is easy to sometimes get confused is saying, oh, I'm menopausal. But actually, if you say that, if you're talking about actually what the menopause is, this is 12 consecutive months without a period. And it typically occurs between the ages of 45 and 55, and the average age being about 51. Now, of course, we know God has made each of us to be individual and the special human beings that we are. So, of course, that average does not mean that everybody is going to be going through the same thing at the same time. I personally have not hit menopause, but I am certainly perimenopausal. And I would say that once I turned 40, I'm 44 at the moment, that once I turned 40, that was when I started to notice some of these signs of the menopause and the changes that were happening to my body. But it's really important to note that these things can happen to anybody at any time, and many women really do go through menopause at quite an early age. So it's unique to you. And as always, if you need support and help from a professional, please go and see your doctor. So let's talk about the stages of menopause. Stage 1, perimenopause. And this is something, as I said, if this can happen in your 30s, and some women actually experience it in their 20s, and some people will even go through menopause in their teens. We are individual beings. God made us that way. So perimenopause is something that can happen to anybody at any time. And perimenopause is this transition phase leading up to the menopause. And it can begin many years earlier. And it's during this stage where our hormone levels, particularly the estrogen and progesterone, they fluctuate and they can cause irregular periods and symptoms like hot flushes. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about symptoms in a few moments. So perimenopause is this sort of first stage, and you might notice it happening, at any age, as I said. So the next stage is menopause, and this is the point where you have had 12 months consecutively where your periods have stopped completely. And post-menopause is the stage after menopause where the symptoms may continue, but your body is adjusting to these lower hormone levels. Okay, so let's talk about symptoms. And it's fair to say that perimenopause, and certainly for myself, some of these symptoms are things that I started to notice after I turned 40. And I was thinking, some of these things are going on and I'm not really sure what is happening here. And these symptoms, there are a huge range of symptoms when it comes to perimenopause, but I'm just going to touch on some of the most common ones. But I will link a website in the show notes that is a UK Menopause Society website, and you can go on there and it's got a whole list of different symptoms that you might experience, and it's really worth having a look at that, and that can actually be something that's worth downloading, printing out, and actually taking to the doctor if you do decide to go and see the doctor to talk about your symptoms. So common symptoms, these of course can vary, but hot flushes are definitely one of them. I have experienced these. Sudden waves of heat, often accompanied by sweating and flushed skin. Now, for me personally, I experience my face literally feels like it is on fire, and I go bright red in the face as if I've been like running around playing sport or something, and I just literally cannot do anything about it. It's just bright red. And it can feel really embarrassing and really stressful, particularly if you are maybe at work or something. So if you have hot flushes, I really do feel your pain. Another common symptom are night sweats. And again, this is definitely something I experienced. So these are like hot flashes that occur during your sleep and disrupt your sleep as a result. So I typically am someone who is really cold in bed at night. So I have to go to bed with like my pajamas on and like one of those like electric blankets if it's cold. And I was finding that I was waking up in the night like absolutely dripping in sweat, which is not like me at all. And I know that some people do really suffer with this, to the point where you have to get up and change the bed sheets. So that can also disturb your partner if you're married, if you have a partner, for example, and it ultimately it disturbs your sleep. And if you're a mum, and you've had young children and perhaps you've been supporting them through the night where, they've been bedwetting, or when they were younger and they were waking up for like feeds in the night, how much like sleep disturbance affects your day-to-day life. So of course, if you're waking up and you're like struggling in the night, this is going to massively impact you on a day-to-day basis with the things that you want to do, whether it's work or whether you're doing things at home. So that being said, those things can then actually impact your mood as well, because if you're waking up in the night, you can feel really tired. And it's really likely that you might notice a change in your mood. So you might feel more irritable, you might feel more anxious, you might even feel a sense of depression. I certainly noticed that I was feeling more anxious about really silly things that would never ever have worried me in the past. So for example, driving at night, or going to a kid's birthday party with my daughter. I would find that really stressful. I would find myself like feeling really, really anxious, heart palpitations and things like that. And that really is not helpful. And it's not who I am. Like, I found myself as somebody who can be really sort of outgoing and very much like more of an extrovert. I really was finding myself withdrawing from people and social situations, which is not normal for me. So think about those mood changes. I've mentioned sleep disturbances through the night sweats and the flushes, but other symptoms like difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep is quite common as well. Another symptom that we don't often talk about, because some people find it a bit embarrassing, is vaginal dryness. Low estrogen levels really, really can lead to discomfort on a day-to-day basis with your underwear, or just wiping after you've been to the toilet, and then of course during sexual intercourse as well. And I will note on this one, this is something that people really don't talk about. You really, really can. There is so much that you can do to help yourself and support yourself with this. And please do go and get support. It's really, really easy. You can get some lubricant. You can get vaginal estrogen as well from your doctor very, very easily, that can make this discomfort go away very, very quickly. So if that is you and you feel embarrassed about it, but go and sort it out, because you deserve better and you deserve to feel comfortable on a day-to-day basis. And the last one, which is often one of the reasons why you might be listening to me, is weight gain. Because as your hormones are changing, your metabolism is going to change, and we often find that we gain weight during menopause. And this is definitely something that I found really, really frustrating. So I really feel that my body hit 40 and some kind of switch was flicked in my body. I have always been somebody who exercises, who has never struggled with my weight, who eats a healthy diet, but I've never had to watch and count every single thing that I put in my mouth. But as soon as I hit 40, I hadn't changed my exercise. I hadn't changed my diet. I just found for some reason that I could not shift my weight, and that for some reason my body was piling on the pounds, and I had to really kind of dig into, what am I doing? What things am I eating? And this is all, of course, stuff that we're going to talk about over the coming weeks and months in this podcast, and things that we have also touched on in the past if you want to go back and look at some of the other episodes. But I know that probably the biggest one that you will find frustrating is the weight gain. And you are not alone. It is not something to be ashamed of. It's just figuring out what is happening with your body, understanding it. And I guess almost, and this is something I've had to do, is to kind of come to terms with the fact that it's not going to behave the same way as it did in our 20s and our 30s. And for me, that was something really, really hard to come to terms with. When I had my daughter Chloe, yes, I put on weight through my pregnancy, but after she was born, I lost that weight really quickly, and I was back to normal. I was back to running. I was back to doing all the things that I used to do. And for some reason, when I hit 40, that was when my body just completely switched and things have completely changed. And I understand your frustration, and I understand your, like, the annoying thing about it, particularly if you live with somebody like I do, who can literally, he can eat whatever he likes, whenever he likes, and never seems to put on any weight. It can be really hard and really challenging, and it can feel depressing because you've got to go and find different clothes and you might not feel comfortable in your own skin. So honestly, my friend, I understand it. I really, really empathize with you, but there is a lot that we can do together to improve our health, to change our body composition, and to push back against this natural weight gain that often happens in menopause. So let's talk about hormones and their role in their body. Now, during menopause, our hormones are changing, and the usual process where our body is producing estrogen and progesterone, which are two key hormones that not only regulate our menstrual reproductive cycle, they impact every single part of our body. They impact our brain, it impacts our gut, it impacts our bones, our joints, and it's this change in hormones that really does cause all of these common symptoms associated with menopause. And on this podcast, we're really going to be talking about the impacts of this and some of the things that you can do yourself at home to support your body as it's going through these changes in our hormones. But I am going to say again that I'm not a medical professional. I am a fitness coach. I'm a nutritionist. I can help you with so many different things, but there may be, and it's not something to be ashamed of. And I will talk about my journey with you visiting my doctor as well. But go and see your doctor, go and get support, because there's an awful lot that you can do working alongside your family doctor to help with some of these symptoms and to help your hormones as well. So I think really what I'm trying to say is that an awful lot of this podcast is about managing menopause and managing the physical side of menopause and also the mental side of menopause. And it's really important to note that this is a natural thing, okay? We cannot, as much as we would love to, we cannot avoid this. And every single woman goes through this. We all experience this. We all experience it in different ways. But the things, there is so much to feel positive about, and there are so many things that we can do. So you can manage your symptoms in a number of various different ways. Number one that we are going to talk about a lot is what you can do when it comes to changing your lifestyle. So by that, I mean eating a balanced diet, thinking about what we're eating, when we're eating, how we're cooking, what we're cooking. So your diet, exercise, like what kind of exercise shouldn't we be doing? We're going to be talking about that. I'm going to give you ideas. I'm going to support you with that. And talking about how we can reduce stress, things that we can do to improve our sleep, because our sleep is really often hugely impacted through the symptoms of menopause. And those are probably the things that we're really, really going to focus on is these lifestyle changes within this podcast. Now, other things that you can do, and I've mentioned going and seeing your medical professional, talking about hormone replacement therapy. I'm going to share my journey with around HRT with you. Of course, as I've said, I'm not a medical professional, but I can certainly share my own experiences, and I can invite other people to share their experience as well. We're also going to dig into supplements as well, because we can find that making use of supplements can actually be quite supportive to our symptoms as well. And I'm going to be talking about things like mindfulness and relaxation, about how and ways that we can improve our mood, and things that we can do to like practical things that we can do to reduce stress. And I'm not going to just sit behind a microphone and tell you to take a deep breath, because I know that doesn't work. So just to sum up, menopause really is, it's a big deal, and we're all going to go through it, and we need to be ready for that. We need to be prepared for it. We need to understand what is going on, because when you have knowledge, you can make decisions, you can make informed decisions, informed choices, things, then you're going to be able to then know about what you want to do to change things in your lifestyle to help ease your symptoms. And I really don't want to sit here and think about this in a negative perspective, because it's really not. It's something we will all go through, but it's not the end of the world. There's things that we can do, and this knowledge that I hope you're going to take away from this podcast, and the knowledge that you might get by being a member of our Facebook community, which I will link into the show notes. Share your experience, okay? Share knowledge with each other, share support. Because when you have knowledge and you have support and you have the right strategies, we can really thrive through this stage of life. If we embrace it, and we know what's going on, and we know what we can do about it, we can really, really embrace this point in our life. And I really, really do encourage you, if you are experiencing menopause symptoms that really do impact your quality of life, please do not hesitate and go and see a healthcare professional, because that really, really is key and can be life-changing. And honestly, understanding menopause, this is the first step to embracing it, to feeling confident and feeling clarity on the things that you can do to help yourself. Now, before you disappear and before you turn me off, please go and check out some of the links in the show notes. I put lots of information in the show notes. You can come and join our community. You will also find a link to my website where you can find out more about how you can work with me, some of the resources that I have to support you through this journey, and also some important website resources like the one that I mentioned earlier, where you're going to find a bit more information and some extra additional support. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. I really have myself. I'm looking forward to spending more time with you. And if you do have any questions, or if you have any suggestions, or perhaps you have a story that you would like to share with our community, please reach out to me. The social media links are also in the show notes, as well as my email address. I would love to hear from you. Have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will look forward to connecting with you in the next episode.